Morning, my name is Phil Glendenning. It's been my privilege to be the director of the Edmund Rice Centre over the course of the last 25 years. Well, the Edmund Rice Centre exists to look at life from the perspective of those who have been excluded, persecuted and oppressed, those who tend to be on the outside of our society, and to encourage those of the rest of us to see them as human beings and to work together to build a better world. Quite simply, it's to enable those in the shadows to be seen by those in the sun. For us, that means three specific groups that come to the forefront of our attention. Number one, First Nations people, and the reality that history did happen in this country, and that those people who lived on this difficult island and islands for over 65,000 years survived, have probably got something right and something that the rest of us need to understand. The second group we work with are those who are the last to arrive, refugees and people seeking asylum, who have chosen this country as opposed to people who look like me who were born here, chosen to come here and yet often find themselves excluded. And yet for us it's very clear that the way in which they've been treated and marginalised is something that has been a very recent stain on our nation and needs to be fixed. And thirdly, those who face the ravages of climate change, particularly in countries like Tuvalu and Kiribati, who are, if you like, the canaries in the coal mine when it comes to the realities that the world is going to have to face. And it's better that we face it together now than leave it to our children and our grandchildren. So over the past 25 years, the Edmund Rice Centre, we've been privileged to find ourselves in a number of situations that we can look back on and say, yep, that was a job well done. The sea of hands in support of First Nations rights over a native title, the Let's Talk program that was conducted in places as diverse as Belfast, Dublin, Kigali, San Salvador, Gaduga in Western New South Wales, that brings together people who are in situations requiring reconciliation. So the Let's Talk program was a fundamental thing I'll look back on and take some pride in. The Deported to Danger project that was tracking what happens to people who were in Australia seeking asylum and were rejected. The whole point of that exercise was that if we don't determine what happens to the people we reject, we will not know that we are properly identifying refugees. The Pacific Calling Partnership, which came out of an invitation to be involved with the people of Kiribati, has extended to Tuvalu and across the Pacific to ensure that the voice of the Pacific peoples gets heard in international fora and gets heard by people in places like Australia as to the reality of climate change. The Edmund Rice Centre believes that compassion for people is not a form of weakness. It's our greatest civilising strength. But our task and our challenge is to mobilise that and to get people to join us in that struggle. Over the next 25 years, the Edmund Rice Centre will continue to go to places like Afghanistan, we'll continue to go to places like Syria, we'll continue to be in Iran and Iraq, working alongside refugees to help them find a safe and sustainable future. We will continue to support the people in Tuvalu and Kiribati and to bring their young leaders to Australia, to train people to bring their voice to the climate change debate, and most importantly, we will continue to work with First Nations people to see that one day we will all be able to live in a fully reconciled Australia. Put simply, we cannot do this work without you. Your support enables us to work in partnership with the people we seek to serve. Your support makes this work possible. Thank you for the last 25, and let's get stuck into the next 25. I invite you today, please join us, stand with us to continue this work.